You ever have one of those nights when your brain suddenly asks a question so random it feels illegal to think about it? That's me right now lying in my hammock in New York, listening to the soft tap-tap of rain on the window. And then my brain whispers, hey, what if the rain doesn't stop tonight? At first, I tell myself, relax, slothy, it's just rain. But the thought doesn't leave, so I start wondering, what if it just keeps raining forever? The first thing that pops into my mind is that the city would slowly turn into one giant bathtub. The pigeons would finally get their spa day. I could already imagine them lounging on streetlights, wearing tiny towels on their heads, gossiping about humans while sipping puddle lattes. Taxis would become boats, and I, your friendly neighborhood sloth, would paddle through Times Square on a floating slice of pizza, waving to ducks that have taken over Broadway. Then I think about humans. Would they evolve into some new waterproof species? Like people with gills behind their ears holding meetings underwater with laptops in bubble cases. The office dress code, flip-flops only. No one could ever complain about frizzy hair again because everyone would look like they just came out of the world's longest shower. I'd probably apply for a job as a professional floater. Seems like a skill I already have. By the fourth thought, things start getting weirder. What if cats and dogs form an alliance? Normally they just argue over territory. But endless rain would force them to build a floating kingdom together. Dogs would row the boats, and cats of course would be the captains, wearing tiny raincoats with gold buttons. I can see them demanding tribute from humans, 1 can of tuna per safe passage. It's chaos, but cute chaos. Somewhere between thought 5 and 6, my brain starts to get philosophical. If the rain never stops, would we even remember what dry feels like? Would sunshine become a myth? Kids would ask their parents, what's a picnic? And the parents would stare into the endless drizzle, whispering, a picnic was when people sat on grass before grass turned into moss. And then they'd look at each other, slightly nostalgic, slightly moldy. Of course, the plants would love it. Trees would stretch their roots into flooded streets, forming green skyscrapers made of bark and vines. I imagine vines curling around traffic lights, flowers blooming out of car windows, and fish swimming through coffee shops. Maybe the whole city would finally turn into the jungle I've always dreamed of, a concrete rainforest with free Wi-Fi. Now that's my kind of New York. Then again, too much rain means too much reflection. Literally, puddles everywhere, endless mirrors showing your face from every angle. You'd try to walk to the store and accidentally fall into a puddle of your own thoughts. Maybe that's what would finally make people slow down in this city. You can't rush through life if. You have to wade through yourself first. Deep, right? Yeah, I didn't expect that one either. My next thought. What about the city's sounds? Without cars and footsteps, we'd only hear rain, a constant drumming on rooftops, windows, and hearts. It would be the background music of existence. Some people would go mad from the noise. Others would find peace in it. I think I'd start composing rain symphonies in my head, naming them things like Drizzle Number 3 and B flat for the sleep-deprived. Maybe I'd become the first sloth musician signed by a raindrop record label. But let's be honest, eventually, everything would shrink down to survival. Grocery stores would be underwater. Coffee shops would serve espresso shots in waterproof cups. And me, I'd probably build a hammock between the lampposts floating above the waterline. I'd grow mushrooms for snacks and collect raindrops in jars labeled vintage drizzle. People would paddle by and ask, aren't you tired of the rain? And I'd shrug, I was tired before the rain. And maybe that's the real point of this sleepless thought. The rain never really stops, it just changes shape. Sometimes it's falling outside, sometimes it's falling inside our heads. But either way, you learn to float, to slow down, to enjoy the rhythm instead of waiting for it to end. So maybe if it doesn't stop tonight, that's okay. Maybe I'll just close my eyes. Listen to it sing, and let the city drift away into a peaceful, soggy dream.